So in an effort to chime in on the conversation about the flat earth theory, I just wanted to throw a couple of ideas out there to maybe expand the perspective of all of this. To me, it is a kind of a really fascinating discussion to have. The part that I don't really like is the controversy that this stirs up. It tends to push people's buttons, and we get trapped in this duality of right and wrong, and who's right and who's wrong. And I'm here to maybe suggest that in this case, like in so many cases, neither side is right or wrong. We tend to make things into a dualistic struggle or battle a lot of the times, and I just want to offer the suggestion that or a perspective that can take us from leaving that to a world of expansive possibilities. And I think I'm no flat earther by any stretch of the imagination. I do think that the Earth in 3D and 4D is definitely a sphere, and it is through consciousness traveling that we can validate this for ourselves. We can allow our consciousness through heart travel, through our connection with Earth herself, to explore and increase our level of perspective, to see from multiple points of view. We are multidimensional beings. We have this capability, and we see it in the world around us all the time. I mean, just the other day, I was standing outside at our back wall with my husband, and my husband is he's a giant compared to me. He stands at 6'4", I'm at 5'7", and we're standing there, and he's talking about things that are going on the other side in our backyard, which has, I don't know what's happening out there from my limited perspective, from this case, shorter perspective. I couldn't see what was going on there. It was not in my sphere of awareness. So even that, we can see that two different people walking around on this earth can see things very differently at the same time. It doesn't mean that the world outside my back wall isn't happening. I just can't perceive it from the perspective of where I'm standing at the moment. Now, if I got a footstool and I stood up and looked over the gate in the wall, poof, my sphere of awareness just expanded a little bit more just by getting a little higher up. So we can think about dimensions of perception in this way, and from that perspective, all there is us in the here and now, and the perspective and perception that we hold. So we can go to different dimensions and see that things start to look really different from different perspectives. When I started doing a lot of consciousness traveling, I would see the earth from a completely different perspective. From 4D, there's a lot more waves of light coming in. From a 5D perspective for me, I start to see things in waves. And that is the reality for me at that point in time. I can see how waves come together and form vortexes and spirals, and everything looks so much different. The earth herself, you can see the energy vortex of 0 point black holes, and we can see how waves all come together and meet in all inclusivity. And then when we go to another higher perspective, even from there, the world starts to look like bubbles. And sphere-shaped bubbles, egg-shaped bubbles, and we can see them all as, I can only equate this to like the quantum foam, and it's almost bubbles of potential reality as well as what is currently creating life. So we can see that, I'm not going to, there's no point in arguing whether the world is bubbles or waves or a solid mass sphere. It is all at the same time. It is only from the resonance that we hold in our frequency at the time that our perception changes. We don't have to move, we don't have to leave the here and now moment, but we can see how everything kind of shifts and changes around us as we change the way that we look at things. So, in thinking about the flat earth theory, yes, from a level of perspective, the earth is flat. And this would be from a 2D perspective. Whoa. So, yay, everybody's right in this case. And we can get out of the wrong and the right of it and understand it, and see it as a choice of perception. Do we really want to vibrate in 2D? Do we want to do this? I mean, is this, kind of de-evolution at its finest? Why do we need to perceive from that level? It becomes a matter of, it goes out of the right and the wrong, and it goes, when we view it from our own choice of perspective and where we choose to resonate, it becomes an empowering choice. Do we really want to go there and live in that vibration? So, I think it was many people thinking in 3D that pulled us out of that way of thinking in the first place. And I think it's, as we become more and more aware of our own choice of perception, we can add all of these other multidimensional layers onto new levels of perception, where we can see then the earth as waves, and we can see it as waves of energy and life converging together, and we can see it as the bubbles, and we can choose to keep raising our vibration as we go, and include the 3D perspective to the 4D perspective to a 5D perspective, and see that they're all simultaneously happening all at the same time. So we can include the 2D perspective and we can go to 3D, but we don't have to live there, and we don't have to stay in flatland anymore. We can choose to rise above it. And some people might go as far as to say, okay, this seems like a conspiracy. This seems like something that they're throwing out there to purposely deceive us. And yeah, that might be true on some level, but again, it's a matter of choice, of personal choice, of how we want to view the world that we live in. And I choose to not go there. We've been there, we've done that. It's kind of boring in Flatland, and but I do think that we can at least stop arguing about it and get out of the judgments. I do like conversations like this because it makes us question our beliefs. And man, even the 3D earthers get so adamant and no, the earth is a sphere. And who knows? From 3D it is. But we kind of limit ourselves with these beliefs in some ways if we don't allow the possibility for it to be different and even more than that, as we it kind of keeps us stuck in 3D, in a 3D way of thinking, to hold on to the belief that the earth is a sphere. The earth is much, 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 much more than that. She is multidimensional, and so are you. So we can let go of all these things that we hold so dear and kind of question the reality that we think we're living in. Once we start doing this, we might find ourselves, we pull the rug out from under ourselves and say, oh my gosh, everything that I've thought to be true is not true. And we kind of feel out of balance for a while. And but it's at that point in time, if we can stay centered in our hearts, we can create true knowingness. And in true knowingness, we can see that everything is almost paradoxical. It is both true and untrue at the same time. So all of these beliefs that we are holding on to, they kind of don't serve us anymore because they keep us trapped in a 3D way of thinking when we want to, a lot of us want to start expanding that sphere of awareness. So what we end up with at the end of the day is not so much beliefs and belief systems because somebody told us so. We end up with actual true knowingness because we've seen it. I've seen the earth look different from many, many different perspectives, and that is knowingness to me. And I think that's what we should all, you talk about building your house on sand or a solid foundation, and I think that's the solid foundation that we can build our new, build ourselves out of again, is the foundation of an inner strength of true knowingness, because you have confirmed it for yourself. And I remind all of us that we do have these capabilities. It is the magical truth of who we are. We are not limited in any way. The limiting only comes from belief systems that are limiting in and of themselves. Belief systems are not bad, but to stay in a limited belief system can be a way to hold us back and may no longer serve us in the best way anymore. So I offer, just the suggestion that take the time to go inside, to know that your heart is the connection at all times to the all, and that we can see from this point of view, and we just keep adding more and more possibilities until we realize that the world is really just infinite possibilities. So, is the earth flat or is it round? I suggest that it's both, but I suggest that we be in conscious awareness and choice of where we choose to perceive that from. Thanks for listening, and enjoy your travels and inner journeys. It is the most exciting adventure we can ever take.